Hello and welcome to episode number 294 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelly.
And this is, for any new brokettes out there, a newer type of a special episode that I recorded when I was up in Chicago for C2E2. Do excuse the audio for what you're about to hear, but it is the return of Mr. Riggs. His previous appearances are going to be in the description of today's episode, but we were recording at the Days Inn. The walls were like paper thin, so I was trying not to yell or be too bombastic, but we were able to record a special guest spot or guest episode with both Clayton and, of course, Mr. Riggs.
I will not be in this episode, but I will be back for our regular structured podcast starting next week.
Thank you so much, Brokettes, and we hope you enjoy today's special episode. Hello and welcome to a very special episode. We have the return of two of some of my best friends. You've heard them before on the podcast. It was with Trivia Time with Mr. Riggs when I was asked a few episodes ago by an interviewer on the equipment of podcasting. They always ask, what's your favorite episode you've ever produced? And I had the number, and I said the Trivia Time with Mr. Riggs. And this is one in which we had Riggs on, which was, I think, your second or third appearance. It was your first appearance. And since I'm in Chicago for C2E2, I actually do have Clayton and Mr. Riggs on today's show. Say hi to the Brokehead Core.
Hey, what's up going on, everybody?
Hi.
So we went to C2E2 yesterday. We're recording this on a Saturday, and it's something we've done for the 2-3 years in a row, I believe now, for C2E2. And you actually picked up a couple of independent books, Riggs, and you picked up some books from the, 50% off trade?
Yeah.
That's there every year?
Oh, yeah, it's unbelievable. They have independents, and they do have Marvel and DC. I remember, though, the last time we went, you had lots of recommendations for me. That's always...
Couldn't remember the word recommendation.
I couldn't.
Looked like you were having a stroke.
I don't like doing voicemails and then you have me do your podcast.
So which ones did you pick up? You brought one here today.
I did. This was actually not at the 50% off sale. This one I got straight from Artist Alley, and it's called Tetris. And it's all about the history of Tetris, but not the history that of the game, but more of the bouncing back and forth between the contracts of who all was involved. Mm-hmm. And spoiler alert, the guy who invented Tetris, he saw no money from that.
So it's a lot like the comic creators and some of the video game creators, especially in those early days where they didn't have these contracts in place to protect themselves to get money. So this is him telling the story. And this is the same artist and author that did Andre the Giant as well.
Yeah, that's next on my list to read. The problem is that it goes into, in this book, Tetris, is that technology was just moving forward so fast with these video games, and that laws were not catching up to it. Mm-hmm. And it's just been a really awesome read. I got it yesterday, and I'm almost done with it already.
Yeah, you've been tearing through that book. Which ones did you get, Clayton?
What was it?
Images, Kill or Be Killed?
Kill or Be Killed. I picked up the first 3 trades of it. Looking forward to reading that. I don't know if it's anything like Incognito, which was Ed Brubaker's other own universe thing that he had done before. I like that a lot. It's kind of a different take on superheroes.
For Brubaker's?
Yeah.
He's amazing, though. I don't know if he's actually gone back to superhero comics in a few years. I know his run on Captain America with the Winter Soldier, which is now, Civil War was the movie. So Brubaker is one of those guys that I don't think he gets as good recognition as he should, even though he is Brubaker. I'm sure people in the industry love him, but the common, your regular reader that would know Dark Knight's Metal, for example, or White Knight, you might ask him who Brubaker is, and more people should know.
They probably would know.
Right. So aside from Winter Soldier, I think that's probably his biggest work in superheroes is the Winter Soldier run, where he became the new Captain America. Do you guys think it's going to go that route with Bucky after Infinity War? Since you guys are seeing it, you guys can tell me your thoughts. Do you think he's going to become the new Captain America? Well, actually, Riggs isn't. You'll tell us why in a second. And it's for different reasons than mine.
I think they're going to kill all of them. And then they're going to reboot it all and have brand new characters who are much cheaper to pay.
Who do you think is? You said Iron Man is probably gonna croak.
Because they can't afford Robert Downey Jr. at the current price. They're gonna off him probably. I don't know about Captain America. I know that Chris Evans, he didn't even really want to be Captain America that badly, and they talked him into it, and his contract's finally up. So everybody's thinking they're gonna kill him, but I don't know if they're actually gonna do it or not.
And Riggs, why aren't you seeing Infinity War?
Because I don't care. I don't care about the Marvel movies, and I don't care about the DC movies. You have to invest too much. If you miss one movie, then that's it. You go to the next one and you're like, what's an Infinity Stone? I didn't read the comics. I was watching it with a friend of mine. I was watching one of them, and there was just like these previews for the next one, and like they're introducing characters that I had no idea existed because I don't read the comics.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's I think that's a big problem that a lot of people are having, is that this started years ago with Marvel. And they had a few out. They had Spider-Man, and they had the X-Men. And the X-Men I don't really know what's going on with that continuity. But the Spider-Man, obviously, that's not part of this, the whole big Marvel universe. But if you don't pay attention to every fucking movie, then you miss out. And so I made the decision a long time ago not to really invest my time into these movies. I've seen a few. I think I've seen 5. Like, I think you said that you like 5. I've only seen 5.
Are there 19 of them now or something?
And are you referring to the Marvel and DC ones, or just the Marvel ones?
So there is the Marvel. That's the problem with the Marvel. And DC is kind of following that, but they will have standalone movies. So DC is enjoyable in that way. But Marvel has ruined it for the DC movies. I'm just kind of like, no. When I say I've only seen 5, that includes the DC movies. So I just be like, oh, that's a good movie. Oh, from Marvel. Or never mind, I'm not going to see that.
So what do you think, from your limited knowledge, what do you think the Infinity Stones are? Who do you think Thanos is?
Okay, so
Thanos.
This might be halfway right. But the Infinity Stones are like magic stones that let you do certain things. I'm getting this off of like Danny Phantom, the show from Nickelodeon.
Okay.
where one stone in there, Danny Phantom, one show like manipulated like things, and then another stone manipulated like biological stuff that had life to it, like plants or people. So I'm guessing that's what the Infinity Stones are sort of like. Mm-hmm. And then when he has it on the gauntlet, the Michael Jackson glove, then he is basically God, where he can just do whatever he wants. He can pop in and out of time, in and out of space. He can manipulate the universe around him. And I guess no such power should ever come to a mere mortal. So they have to stop this Thanos character, who probably isn't really all that bad of a guy. He just is collecting it, like a rich guy collects things, and he's just collecting them, and the power will be too much for him.
You're not as far off as I thought you'd be, but he's actually trying to kill all life.
Well, in the trailer, she said he's going to kill half of the life or whatever. He's going to destroy half the universe. Why would he set his goal at half the universe? There's just something silly that they said to make him sound tough. Mm-hmm. He'll destroy half the universe. Why not the whole universe?
I'm guessing he's trying to court death in this, just like in the comic books.
Well, is that going to be Hela, or is it going to be a different character, or is it not going to be
That's
anything?
True. This is Disney now. Who knows what it is?
So I do have a question. Mm-hmm. How is this Thanos guy with the mighty glove? How is he going to be any different than the bad guy from Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
And the bad guy from the second one, who was trying to control the universe. He was trying to have himself essentially throughout, because he views himself as the best, the greatest living thing around. So he wants himself to be everything.
Right. But he was still godlike. Like they already did this movie. So this is just a remake, basically.
He was a celestial being, which are like God with a small g in the Marvel universe.
Okay.
And when someone like him dies, the energy isn't destroyed, it becomes an Infinity Stone. That's what the Infinity Stones are.
Oh.
Like, remember Nowhere in the first Guardians was a giant head of an elder being or whatever that they lived on?
No.
And we're mining its for its resources?
No.
So whenever whatever that was, when it died, it probably became an Infinity Stone. That's what you're supposed to assume.
Where the people were? On the Citadel?
You remember how there was a giant head that they were drilling into? And they were like taking apart?
No, I don't remember any of that.
In the first Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that either.
That's what Nowhere is. That's what it's called.
Well, I mean, honestly, you weren't as far off, again, on Thanos and Infinity War. I was pretty impressed, given the limited knowledge that you do have on everything. But going back to C2E2, what was your guys' impression of the convention this year?
It seems like every year, Artist Alley. That was it. Because every year, Artist Alley is the booths are too close together, and so just to stop at a booth, you are now being the asshole that is blocking everybody from moving behind you.
Mm-hmm.
But this year they were further apart, and so it was easy to just walk down there and check something out without feeling like you're now inconveniencing other people. And this doesn't mean that because there was more room, there were less artists. Like, they set up a huge area for Artist Alley. And it seems like Artist Alley always gets bigger and bigger with these conventions. And that made me happy, because that's my main focus, is Artist Alley.
What about you, Clayton?
I felt like there wasn't as much stuff being sold, if that makes any sense.
Like specialty retailers or specialty booths type of thing?
Specialty stuff, yeah. There's a lot of artists hawking obviously drawings or commissions.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of even the Funko Pops and stuff, it seemed like it was a lot more limited. I remember before, when we'd gone there, that one guy had like every last one of them, but obviously they were crazily marked up.
Mm-hmm.
The rare specialty ones.
Yeah, I was glad that we found. I know the exclusives I think were better this year, because DC had like the couple of variants with the foil covers on them. And Marvel just had more of a showpiece. It was actually the perfect symbolic representation of how they're handling the comics right now. Because I talked about this a few episodes ago, and I might have told you, Clayton, is that C2E2, they send out a poll after every con, and they say, what did you want to go for, or what did you buy? And they poll every single ticket holder, anyone that bought a ticket in advance, because they have your email, and they'll have you do this survey. And they'll say, what is your main interest with C2E2? They did it last year. I got the poll. I filled it out. And then this year, the guy who runs it, he's like the show director. He said that while other conventions are shifting to movies and television stars and booths that represent those things, that they've maintained their focus on comics. And you saw that in Artist Alley, because there was some massive fucking names, just like last year, in Artist Alley, where it's like people that are doing these books that sell, hundreds of thousands of copies, are just sitting right there in Artist Alley. And along with the next big name and the next big name and the next big name. So they've maintained the focus on comics. So what I noticed in the DC booth, they had the exclusives to Graffiti Design, which does the t-shirts. You'll see that in the previous catalog, they have like all of those graphic tees. They do the superhero ones. And then in the Marvel booth that I saw, they were promoting the movies, weren't they?
Yeah, getting ready for the Infinity War.
And I didn't see anything on their booth with the comic books or what the new story arcs are going to be or the fresh start that they're doing. And it was mainly just like a big showpiece for the movies. And it just, again, shows that bit of like their attention is focused in the billions of dollars, sure. But when you're at a convention, push your fucking books, push your line. Dark Horse and all the independent companies were obviously full of just like their books, and they're there to sell their comics. But Marvel just had that showpiece.
I agree. I know. I usually buy independent, and I was talking with you. I just can't believe that Dark Horse, IDW, Image, that these are considered independent, but that's where I go to, is independent stuff. But I think I was looking at some DC stuff. But if I wanted to get a Marvel thing, I would have to go to the 50% off place and buy it there.
What was the joke we had made about the guy you bought the book directly from the writer artist?
Yeah.
The Tetris book and the Andre the Giant. I saw the same Tetris book at Graham Crackers. They had their booth set up. And we were joking that you should have bought it from Graham Crackers and brought it over to him.
Brought it over to him and have him sign it still.
Oh,
like
I didn't know you had these here. I bought it from over there.
You could have bought it here. Oh, you have this one too? Let me run back and see if they have it over there.
Over there, it's 25% off.
You could just buy it from me, and then I would get 100% of the profits. No, you're still getting profits, but we have to support these companies. That's what's important.
They're selling your books. And he did a couple of drawings too on your when you bought his books.
Yeah, and you know what they usually do, no matter who I'm buying from, is he wrote my name. He's like Riggs, and then they do it just a little thing, and some do more, some do less, but it's always a treat to have like that's personalized. Like now that's mine, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that makes me want to. I mean, of all the books that I got, which ones did I turn to read first? Were the ones that got signed in and drawn in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a touch. That's a little extra.
I also noticed there weren't as many cosplayers on this Friday, whereas last year we had like 4 pictures of you with Batgirl, Raven, Enchantress. And this year it seems like there were very few. I don't know if they were waiting till Saturday today to actually go there, but it worked out because they weren't clogging up Artist Alley, you know, where they'll just block off an entire row because they're too busy taking pictures and spreading their giant, you know, costume wings and shit like that.
Yeah, and sometimes it won't just be one cosplayer, it'll be like a group of cosplayers, and so then it's an even longer period of time that you're just like, now I have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm not against cosplayers, and if you want to take a picture and it's consensual, go for it, but I just don't like where they do it. And so that was a treat that we didn't have to really worry too much about that. Although there were some noteworthy cosplayers that went all out with their cosplay, and it was very nice to see.
I also noticed that there was a section of just cosplays. It was called Cosplay Alley. So whenever they do that, they keep the cosplayers to a section of the convention, and they pretty much say, if you guys want pictures with these guys, it's over here. And the rest of this is like for selling or for artists or commissions. And some cons that don't have that dedicated space just for cosplayers, that's when you see the cosplayers running around the whole thing, and just any open space, they'll just camp there and make it theirs. And that's where you run into problems like, you know, what people have in the past.
Yeah.
So overall, the convention, pretty awesome. I think we got we all spent more than we intended, as always. I took out $200, and I think within an hour, those 200 were gone.
I know. I took out 200 as well. And I was really limiting myself at first because last year at C2E2, I went way overboard. And then the following month, I went to another convention and I went way overboard on my purchases there. So I was just like, oh, no, I can't. Oh, but I wanted to, no. But then the minute I made my first purchases were, again, the ones that were signed. I was just like, oh, all right, well, I'll just have one of these and one of these and one of these. And, oh, that looks nice. But I was able to like keep to my budget, which is important.
Did you expect to buy anything, Clayton, when you got the Kill or Be Killed?
I was looking at maybe picking up some more trades, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, oh, yeah, I'll just get these then, since they were discounted. My favorite, though, is whenever they're like, and that's this much % off. And you know if you go there on a Sunday, that's going to be even more discounted.
Yeah.
Just go through and pick up anything.
Yeah, and that's
left.
Stuff like Kill or Be Killed, though, would have been gone by Sunday.
Yeah, probably.
For a couple of the comics that you did get, we also visited local comic shops. We went to Dwight's Comics, which Dwight was on the show before. We went to Keith's Comics, which is also here in Schaumburg, which is where I'm staying right now, where you guys, you live in the area.
Yeah.
So we visited a couple of the local comic shops, supported them. I bought some variants today, Street Fighter versus Darkstalkers. A couple of the comics that my shop didn't qualify for, they were 1 in 10s, I think, or 1 in 25s. So shops have to order 25 copies of a specific A or B cover combined to get one cover of the 1 in 25s or one cover of the 1 in 10s. So for my store, I was the only guy reading Street Fighter versus Darkstalkers out of all the subscribers. So like one copy for me. And so it's like, even if I got one for the stands or 2 for the stands, it's still 3 copies, not even close to hitting the 1 in 25s or the 1 10s. So Keith still had like a bunch of the regular issues and then 3 or 4 of the incentive variants. So I was like, well, could either, get it online or just get it right here. So I was just happy that he qualified for it at all. But he's been around for years, even before I used to live here. It was Keith's Comics was like Like the shop that has been around, there used to be Gotham City Comics here in town, and they specialized in gaming. They I don't know when they closed, but I know they're long gone. Dreamland transferred over to Dwight's, and then were there any others before that I might have not known about?
I only ever went to Gotham. They closed like 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I always went to Dreamland, and then Keith's if Dreamland didn't have what I was looking for.
Did you ever remember Gotham City Comics?
Yeah, the name, I'm like, wait, it like sparks, but like not really, no.
They were mainly cards, is what I remember. Like they sold a lot of singles, Pokemon, Magic. I don't remember them having a whole lot of comics.
I remember they had a decent assortment, but they had a lot of collectible stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was everywhere in there.
Like statues, toys,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
The thing they had in their window was Superman coming out of the phone booth.
Okay.
And that always stuck out in my mind.
It never sold, I'm guessing.
I'm sure when it was marked down, somebody bought it.
Going out of business sale, probably.
So how have you been since, the trivia time with the questions? People still point to the Medea thing, and they're like, how do you figure that out by Batman v Superman numbers?
I know it was very weird, and I think I explained it back in the show, but it was mostly just a stab in the dark.
Mm-hmm. Have you gone back and heard that episode since?
I started to listen to it, and I was just like, oh geez, no, and I can't bring myself to do it.
Why?
Because I sound like an idiot. You work in a warehouse. Can you answer questions about warehouses? No. I just show up and get paid. That's it.
Do you have a new warehouse story, or do you have a new work story that you can share with listeners that I haven't heard?
Not really. I wouldn't say that. I will tell you that I did get promoted, and with that promotion, I'm handling these big corporate accounts, and I've actually only been doing it for the past couple of weeks.
How big are these accounts? Millions, hundreds of thousands of dollars type?
I don't know the numbers of how much they're worth. I can just tell you that if you order something from my company, it's going to weigh like 25 pounds, where these companies on the daily are ordering 500 to 700 pounds of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, like, I don't want to list any names, but we have, we'll call it Super S.
Okay.
Super S, they order 20,000 pounds of stuff.
So loyal customers.
They are very loyal. They make us a lot of money. And I told you that I was going to pick you up from the airport, and then I realized what time it was. It was not till way later in the day. And so I was considering coming in the following day to be like, oh, okay, well, I can work like till 3 and then I'm going to go. And they're like, oh, okay. I hadn't approached them yet. I just looked to see what the schedule was for the next day. And Super S had dropped to this 25,000 pound order. And then we had another one, Super H, we'll call it. And Super H just did like 3 times what they usually order. And then we had a bunch of other ones. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, no, I can't make it tomorrow. Yeah, just, I'm not, there's just no way. I just can't. Because we have to make the phone call to our truck carriers by 3:00. And so I was figured, oh, okay, well, then I'll just stay until then and then I'll leave. But I was just like, oh, no. I'm just going to take the day off, sleep until 12.
Was this the same, was Super S or Super H the same company that you had on your first week of your promotion and messed up?
No, it was Super A.
Okay.
Super A. So Super A ordered maybe 5 skids worth of product. So we're talking about like 25,000 pounds of product. And it's important that you know that it was divided into 5 different skids.
One order divided into 5.
Yes, because another company, Super H2, ordered 6 skids worth of stuff. And on one of their skids, when multiple skids happen, we just like write their name on the skid so that the trucking company knows which one is theirs. And
you handwrite it?
I handwrite it. And I accidentally switched 2 of those skids together. And so Super A got it first. And they're like, yeah, no, we just like got a bunch of stuff that we didn't order. And we're missing like this. And it was this huge laundry list of stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I have like 5 bosses, and each one individually came up to me and had a conversation with me about
Jesus
it.
Christ.
Yeah.
5 like boss conversations in one day.
Yeah, in one day. And one of them, the coolest one.
Yeah, well, I want to know what they asked you. Yeah.
Well, the first one to notice, she's like, so we got an email from corporate saying that Super A here, you can read the email. And sure enough, on the email, it said, yeah, we got a bunch of stuff that we didn't order. And then, like, where is all of this? And it's like 2,000 pounds worth of stuff that I didn't ship them. And I had been talking with I kind of was expecting this a little bit, because while I was doing that, like, my other boss came up to me and goes, where's the stuff to Super H2? And I'm just like, oh, it's right over there. It's like, it looks like you're missing something. And I'm like, no. I said I had this stuff for Super A. And he's like, I don't think that was for Super A. And I'm like, oh my God. So then I just sent the stuff for Super H too, thinking that Super A was going to get all of their stuff just plus extra, and they would just like shut up about it. Yeah. I just thought that they'd be like, oh, we just got some free shit.
That's the warehouse version of sweeping it under the rug.
Yeah. But I guess what happened was I sent Super A, I sent one of their skids to Super H2. And so Super H2 is just like, hey, where's our shit? And I'm just like, oh my God. It was
a little email from Riggs. Can you guys just not mention the extra stuff?
So you're part of a promotional program where you guys are just going to get extra shit just for no reason?
Signed, Mr. Riggs.
Signed, Mr. Riggs.
There's no phone number or email, and he misspelled several words.
Do you guys know a Mr. Riggs? Oh, I don't know Mr. Riggs.
So the first boss finds you. She's talking to you, and at this point, you know what the mistake is.
Yeah. So I know what the mistake was, and so I went back and I can't fix it. I have to wait for corporate to fix it. And then they give me a list of what I need to do. And it's not a big deal. But then I have other bosses coming up to me throughout the day. And the most memorable was Rockin' Ryan, as he came up and he was just like, what happened, man? And I'm just like, I don't know. I just mixed up the skids. And he's just like, well, you wanted this promotion because you wanted a prominent position. So now you're in the spotlight. So you just got to get it together, man. I'm like, I will. All right, man, good talk. And I'm like, oh. I mean, at that point, I technically did not have the position yet. I was there. It was just a trial run at that point. And so I'm like, oh, they're not going to give it to me now.
And they still gave you the promotion?
They still gave me the promotion and a raise.
You pulled a homer.
It's like when you're playing spades or hearts and you like shoot the moon and you just like collect all the bad cards until you've collected all the bad cards and you shot the moon. So that's what I did. I just did everything bad until they're just like, well, he's perfect for the job.
And it's like, he made this huge mistake, and there's one guy who made the decision. He's like, but he's already making waves. None of the other guys we hired before made these kind of changes. Let's promote him. They're all looking at him like, he just likes Riggs for some reason.
I have a feeling about this guy. He's going to bring us places.
He's going to bring product to the wrong places.
I don't know if I ever told you this, but every single job I've had in the past, like, no longer exists.
So you are shitting the moon.
I worked for Burger King. The Burger King that I worked at was demolished, and there's nothing there. I worked for Domino's. They went out of business. That store location went out of business. I worked for a company that had a contract with an airliner, and the airliner dropped their contract while I was working for them. Every single place I worked for eventually, like, just fucking dies. So it was only a matter of time.
Is there a correlation here then? Is this going to happen? Is this 4 for 4? Oh, Jesus. That's a good one. Also, do you know how much it cost them by like having to reship everything to the right place? Did corporate give you like a breakdown?
A breakdown in dollars and cents? No, not really.
Like, do you know roughly, since you've worked there for so long, like
Based off of what they order, I would have to say like double-digit thousands. So like 20, 50,000. I would say no more than $50,000 per company.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So almost $100,000 mistake.
Probably, yeah.
Did they get discounts on future orders? Did you lose either client?
No, we definitely did not lose other client. But Super S, they go to us on a weekly basis. Super H2 kind of like on a monthly basis. So it's really not that big of a deal. If I had messed up the original Super H, who order from us on the daily basis, that would have been tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would have been having to sign some papers, but that didn't happen.
And since then, everything's good. No major mistakes like that.
No major mistakes. I just have to get to work on time.
Any minor mistakes? Have you shipped off cutties or those price guns that you use?
No, I haven't done that. No, you asked me if there was a minor mistake. It was just a minor mistake. Once we have all of our orders ready to go, we have to call the various trucking companies and tell them how many skids we have. And one time I told the trucking company that I had 2 skids when I really had 3 skids, so that when they came to pick it up, I had to put the skids in sideways so that they would fit on the truck.
And off they went.
That's not that bad, though.
No, that would be a minor mistake.
If you weren't able to put them in, though, that would have been a...
Yeah, well, the pallets you can jack up from the side as well. It's just sometimes you can break the pallets doing that.
You can.
Yeah.
And again, it's not that big of a deal because sometimes even if you tell them that you have 3, they still come in with ready to put them in sideways. And if they can't pick up everything, they leave and then they come back later. That's not a big deal. That's not on me.
So if you come up with another story, let me know. Flipping it over to Clayton, you work at a movie theater company or chain, whatever you want to call it. What's the biggest mistake you've witnessed while working at this particular theater?
I can't even fathom how to answer that because there's so many it's a lot of little mistakes where you're just like, ugh.
No film reel burnings back when you were using those?
No, that never happened to me. I was one of the better projectionists.
Well, I mean, even from people you work with too.
I'm trying to think what the worst one.
While you're thinking, can you still make that? Because I used to work at the same theater, and we used to have bets or whatever to see who can get the popcorn the goldest. So people would put in extra salt. They were idiots, and they would put in extra salt thinking that would make it yellower.
It's the oil.
What you do is the oil. Yeah, you hit the oil as it's popping, so it pops with what's supposed to be popping oil, and that gets super incredibly gold. But it tastes terrible. It's not supposed to be consumed like that.
Looks amazing.
And it also makes it very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
All that extra oil.
And all you have to do for that one batch is just create another batch that's normal and mix it all together. So it's like normal piece. That one was really oily. Then normal piece. Do they still do that? Can you still do it with the new popcorn machines?
You can still do it, yeah. I'm trying to think that the worst script I ever saw was that movie Bolt by Disney, which wasn't even a big movie, but it was one of those 3D at the time when 3D was popular. And the projectionist started My Bloody Valentine, which is a horror movie. And whenever this happens, the people always wait until the movie's playing to come out and be like, "Oh, it's the wrong movie," even though the trailers are all I know they were all horror films, and they were like, "Well, we just assumed that it was just advertisements." And the movie starts out where I think it had a murder in the very beginning of the film. Or something. It's pretty funny.
Were the kids outside the theater with their parents? They have to walk out, or was anyone still sitting there watching?
I assume what had happened was one of the parents had come out and said something and they stopped it. But usually the people don't get up and take their kids out or anything. They're just like, oh, well. Kids have nightmares. Although I will say that the parenting has gone down to where these parents will bring their kids to see horrible, horrible films because they don't want to pay for a babysitter or what have you.
What's the worst one that's come out recently? Like 50 Shades? They don't bring them to that, do they?
So I was working with a manager from a different theater, and he was telling me that some guy came out and was like, there's a kid running up and down in the theater. And he's like, so you just, he said, the guy just kept telling him, so you're okay with that? And he's like, no, I'm not okay with that. But nobody came out and said anything about it. For whatever reason, people assume that there's, I don't know, people watching or monitoring the theaters. But in reality, there aren't enough staff to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So if something goes wrong in your movie, if you don't come out and say something, nothing's going to happen. And so you have a lot of that, or well, it will be completely over, and it's like, well, I want my money back. It's like, well, why didn't you say something and we could have fixed it? You should have taken care of this. It's like, oh, okay. No, you can't have your money back. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Customer service. That's the nice thing, though, is you can kind of pick and choose, because the company you work for, I don't feel like would come down as hard. They don't have like the stupid Twitter accounts where they could just complain directly to corporate, like, send off this tweet. How can we help you? You know what I mean? Like, you're not really under threat of that.
Somewhat.
Or have things changed since?
Well, I don't want to go into detail and have people like, just got a complaint through here. But we do get complaints back.
Gotcha.
And it's one of those things where sometimes it's like, why would you... Sometimes it's even people just whining about things that they didn't like. It's not even like a bad thing. Or something that there's no way anybody had any control over. And that usually cracks me up because it's just people looking to complain about something.
Mm-hmm.
When it's like that, when there's no real solution to these complaints, do you have like your bosses running around trying to like find solutions when there are none? Like if a customer goes, I couldn't find the bathroom, and they go, well, let's see if we can like put bathroom signs up bigger or something like that, like something stupid like that.
Well, there used to be more bathrooms in the building, and so people complain about, oh, I have to walk all the way over here. This is ridiculous. And it's like, yes, you do. Your movie's an hour and a half. I don't understand why you need to take a break in between.
It sounds like you worked at a place that used to pretend to fix things.
Not necessarily. The company I work for now, I'm on the safety committee.
Why would they put you there?
I don't know. They decided to, and so I've been doing it for like a year. And they have like these stupid things, these solutions that just make no sense to me. When I first started off in this company, you just wore whatever you wanted to wear to work. You're in a warehouse. You're not really talking to any customers or clients or anything. You're a warehouse worker. But then they're like, oh no, you have equipment. You have to wear these safety vests. And we still fight it to this day because like recently a safety committee meeting that I had not been to because I had been too busy working, they said, oh no, you can't just wear the vests. They have to be zipped up.
Well, yeah.
That was their solution, though.
So they don't get caught in anything.
But when you're performing specific machinery within the warehouse, it being zipped up causes it to be more likely to get caught in the machinery. If you keep it unzipped, it kind of like spreads open a little bit, and then that way it doesn't get caught in the machinery. And everybody who has that position, because it's like a floating position, always says the exact same thing. But they're just hearing safety. And so we now have to have them zipped up. And so it's little stuff like that I can't stand. It's the micromanaging of the little problems. Meanwhile, there'll be huge problems, and they're just like, yeah, we need to get to that at some point.
Easy solutions. That's what they're trying to take care of.
Yeah.
Do you still keep yours open unless they see you?
For a while, what I used to do is, because the rule was, no, you have to have it zipped. So what I would do is I would have it zipped, but behind me, so that it looked like more like a cape.
So you can get caught from behind.
But then too many people were like, why does he have to be different?
So as long as you have it on was the rule.
It used to be that so long as it was on, then that was fine. But now it has to be on and zipped in the front.
They made a rule for you.
They did. They waited until I wasn't going to be at the safety committee meeting to bring it up because they didn't want any backlash.
What would you have said?
I was like, that's stupid. Because the point is because we deal with these equipment and the equipment might hit you. But if it's in front of you, you're going to see it and not get hit. But if it's behind you, that totally makes sense. So that's where the reflectors need to be. But if it's in front of you, just get out of the way.
Well, have you seen any idiotic mistakes from others? That I know you told me about you told the thing on the thing how you almost pinned. You said it on the podcast with that guy that was like whoop, and he was real big, and he.
Yes.
Okay, what have you seen?
Oh, as far as have I seen any other people make other mistakes? There's this guy named Gus. Just say it. That's his name. Ooh.
You don't care?
No, I don't care. Let him find me. I don't care. So he should never be on equipment ever. But I guess he got signed off to be on equipment. And the first sign should have been that, like, when I first got signed off on equipment, we have to do this test and we have to get 100%. And we took the test and we were all signed. He had to take the test 5 times before they would pass him and allow him to do it. But I guess they still did. And so I just saw him the last time I was there is we were just walking. I was walking around with one of my boss, Christine, and he just comes and he's just spinning around on the equipment and the blades are sticking out. And she's like, Gus, you need to be careful. He's like, I'm being careful. It's just but that's a simple solution to me is not to have everybody wear vests so that we can watch out for Gus. Is just get Gus the hell off of that machine.
Blade swinging around. What was he doing?
He was just trying to turn around because when you're in tight spaces, you have to turn around. But oh my god,
I always love these work stories, and especially the ones where you're changing safety protocols.
I'm not changing safety protocols. I'm responsible for the safety protocols changing.
Still love that people got jealous. Like, how come Riggs could wear it like that?
They did, but it was the same people. I used to wear this bandana at work to keep my hair up because it's getting long now. And so I've been keeping my hair up in a bandana, and they're like, "That's not right. There's no bandanas. That's on the rules." But my boss actually did stick up for me in that one. He's like, well, there's no gang signs. He's not wearing it any kind of way. He's clearly wearing it to keep his hair out of his eyes when he's working. And so they're just like,
We'll get you next time, Riggs.
Yeah, like there was this particular girl and she goes up to Christine, one of my bosses, and she's like, well, I'll look into it. And then the next day, I thought it was amusing because Christine went and turned right to me and she's like, you'll never guess what she said. And so I went up to another one of my bosses and I said, could you believe what this woman was saying about my bandana to Christine? And she goes, she said the same thing to me. So she was really like gunning for me. But it turns out that what she did is that my big boss, the big boss in the entire warehouse, he came down and said, I don't have a problem with it. So you're just going to have to deal with it. So then, so they did by turning around and trying to find something about my vest, I guess.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think the only similar story to that is I used to work at Disney and I would always push the rules on like beard growth or hair length. And there was that one period, and I used to work at Disney Quest, which is like an indoor arcade, which is already dark in there. So if I ever forgot to shave, I became Batman. I would like hide in the shadows, like behind columns, like if a manager was coming, so they wouldn't notice like the 5 o'clock shadow. And it's like that was my solution. But I grew my hair until they said something, and then I would cut it. Well, it was just getting really long, and no one had told me anything yet. And there was another cast member that's a worker, as they call them cast members. and his hair was shorter than mine, but they yelled at him and they said, "Hey, you got to get a haircut." And he goes, "Daniel's hair is way longer than mine. How come he doesn't have to get a haircut?" And the manager goes, and I heard this from another manager because she told me, and the manager goes, "We'll talk to Daniel." I never heard a peep. Like, I never said a thing to me. And I kept it that way for like a good month or two after that too. And
What made you decide to finally cut it?
I think, if I remember correctly, I was just like, I'm really pushing it now because it was past the collar, and like I could only keep, because I wear a beanie almost all the time, and with this hair length, it was shorter than this, but that's too long for Disney. Like when I'd put my bandana in the morning, the hair would curl with all the humidity, but only on the back, like bottom portion of it. So it would curl above the collar, but it was still longer. So that's how I got away with it in that form. But over the day, because it's air conditioned in there, would just uncurl and get long. But
Gotcha.
so I think I could only get away with it for so long, because after so much that you have long hair, it doesn't curl anymore.
Yeah. I was when you were saying that, I knew exactly what you mean, because I as well wear a beanie, and it hits that special length where you wear a hat and it just curls up, and then you take the hat off and you're just like, oh no, it doesn't look as nice as I thought it did. But yeah, mine's past that point at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting pretty long. It's not at the length that it was a while ago, like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
God, oh, that hurt to say that. Say 10 years ago. But I'm hoping to do that at least that long and even longer. I don't have any goals with it at this point.
Speaking of age, and this is probably the last topic that I want to cover and hear from you guys, is we are hitting that age now where, for like, I'm about to hit 30. Some of us are in our 30s, and older listeners that are in their 40s and 50s, which I know we have plenty of, are like, "Fuck you guys, 30s isn't old." I want to hear about you guys talking about being 30. How's it feel now? Like, do you feel Father Time weighing down on you? Like, we're going out, we're getting drinks and everything, but at the end of the night, are you like, "Oh man, I woke up sore," or "I'm sleepy much sooner than I normally was"?
There is a certain amount of physical activity in a warehouse. And I just remember when I first started this job like 6 years ago, that I would be able to do anything and everything. And now it's not the same. And so there is.
You're getting tired or what?
Just sore, I guess. Like not necessarily tired, but also an inability to do things. Like I used to, like, sometimes there's stuff on the top rack and you got to like climb up there to grab it. You're not supposed to, but you do anyway. But now I'm just kind of like, oh, Jesus, I can't do that. And then you go again. Oh, okay, I got it. I'm making a lot more noise when I do stuff than I did like 6 years ago.
And how old are you now?
I'm 30. I turned 30 in October. It was rough. Going from 29 to 30 is really rough. It's a lot rougher than 28 to 29. It's a lot rougher than 30 to 31, I can imagine. But going from 29 to 30 is rough. And really the only thing that got me going through that was the fact that I'm dating a woman who's 45. So I'm like, the whole time I'm like, well, I'm not as old as she is. You don't understand, like, when we hang out with her friends, I'm the baby. So I'm basically looking at my future, but I'm like, not yet.
What about you, Clayton?
Well, my insomnia, it used to be a thing where, like, it was really hard to go to sleep, and then when I'd finally do it, and then I'd wake up at a normal time and feel fine, but now it's like, I feel tired all the time, more so. And that's just kind of a weird thing, is looking tired and feeling tired, as opposed to before nobody would notice.
Mm-hmm. Like, now people are like, "Oh, what's going on?
You sleepy?"
So you still have insomnia every now and again, or?
It's worse during certain times of the year, which is weird. Mm-hmm. But I do still have it. It's not as bad as it used to be, but feeling tired more often, and you're like, "Oh, I'm old now.
Yeah,
this is old."
What about at work, just from movie theater stuff?
It's not that bad.
Didn't think it would be.
When I used to be a projectionist, you'd move stuff around. You're walking back and forth all day long, going up and down steps. Now it's just like, it's more of an office, counting money and what have you.
He's a manager. He's a big guy.
I don't know what you mean. He works at a movie theater, therefore all he does is watch movies all day long.
That's right. And all I do is read comic books all day long.
That's right. And all I do is send stuff to the wrong company all day long.
Sometimes you get hits. Sometimes you get it right. You reminded me. You talked about your girlfriend. What did you tell her the other night about
God.
hanging out and you wanting to go to sleep? Because it was like what, 3 a.m?
Yeah. So we were hanging out, us guys, and then I went home, and I live in the city, so that's like a good hour drive. But then there was traffic, so I was even delayed even more. So then I got home and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go to sleep. And then like she was there and she just wanted to talk to me about stuff. And I don't even know what stuff it was. She just wanted to talk to me. And then she made a comment about how like she just wants to make sure that I have time for her. And I said, well, yeah. I said, like, look at me now. I'm talking to you now, even though I really want to go to sleep. And she did not take that as well as I thought she would.
I'm talking to you now, even though I'd rather be asleep.
Inside my head, I'm thinking, like, tell her this.
She'll think it's sweet.
Yeah, she'll think it's sweet. You'll come off as the good guy. No, she was like, oh, thanks, Dan. That's really what I wanted to hear.
Women, am I right? She also got mad that you told me this story.
Yeah, she did. I told you this story, and then I thought, again, I was like, oh, I'll tell her that I told you this story. So I told her, and she was like, why did you discuss our personal conversations with him? Because it was funny. I thought you would find it funny as well. We can fight. We can laugh about our fights afterwards. And I thought that you and I could share this laugh, like me and Daniel shared this laugh.
A little thing that the three of us can have.
But too soon.
And now you've told the story to many listeners.
Yeah.
Tell her that too.
What did you guys talk about on the podcast? Oh, just stuff. Just comic books, C2E2 stuff. Comic books, C2E2.
You wouldn't be interested in that.
No, you.
They really love that story about us.
She'll be like, "Can I hear it?" And I'm like, "I don't think so. I don't think it's you'd have to subscribe, and then you don't subscribe. Well, don't you subscribe?"
Daniel sent me the special link because it costs to subscribe. Actually,
yeah,
make it about money.
This is an extra special episode.
I think that's a good story to end it in. Anything else you guys want to share or say or tell a story of before the next time that they hear about Mr. Riggs and Clayton?
No, but I am going to have to study this episode because I'm sure there's going to be some sort of trivia on it the next time I go to Florida.
Maybe. That is still one of my favorite episodes, and it is downloaded more than like the average ones. So there's that. All right, cool, man. Well, thanks guys again for taking the time to be a guest on what will be a standalone episode. So when I come back, Kelli and I are probably going to try to record one. We have an interview that we attach to the end of that, and then this one will release the week after. So that'll also give me a break to catch up that week on some of the stuff from getting back into town.
Yeah, cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Do either of you have an account yet or something that people can find you guys or listen to you on? I know Clayton doesn't. He's not on social media.
You can find me on Snapchat.
Are you really on Snapchat?
I really am on Snapchat. I don't snap anything. I just look at my friend's Snapchat.
What's the Snapchat handle?
I don't even know.
Of course not. Cool, that's fine. All right, thanks a lot, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the episode.